Welcome to Lost Without Japan, a travel podcast about the life-changing experiences of exploring Japan and those moments we would be lost without. For your listening pleasure, allow me to introduce your very own Kanko Guido, Michael.
Welcome to this week's episode of Lost Without Japan. This podcast is based on Japan and your Lost Without moments. This is your director of travel for TKIC Studio Productions, bringing you positive thoughts and excitement for your upcoming journey to Japan and his own return, hopefully in 2 summers, but most likely 3. But let's just say 2. We'd like to thank you for giving us a bit of your time today. And I did say we do have a guest with me today. And both of us hope this podcast finds you in a good place or the path to a better one, no matter how it may seem at this minute. My belief is that we could all use a beacon like this one in our lives, and I hope that Japan, along with this show, will be that for you. If you're new to the podcast, welcome. And if you're a returning Lost Without listener, thank you again for joining once more. Today's day trip episode takes us back to Okinawa for Okinawa Part 2 for our series inspired by the recently discovered issues of the Japanese magazine Popeye and their focus on various travel locations within Japan. This special edition travel issue is well worth the price paid at my local Japanese bookstore. Regardless of your Japanese level, however, this magazine is worth it for the pictures alone. It's also fun to see what's recommended for people to do and explore in Okinawa, Japan, not just for us foreigners that are visiting from overseas. Let's start though with some positive mental imagery and imagine, you know what? We're all in Japan right now, exiting the airport, out to explore, and we'll go about our episode this way. Remember, you can always reach out to the show at lostwithoutjapan@gmail.com or lostwithoutjapan, all one word, on Instagram, where I'm currently, trying to get our follower level up to 1,000 so that I can go back to being live at times. Instagram recently changed settings to where it's like you have to have 1,000 followers to go live, and so and if you haven't checked the Instagram feed for the show, and we're used to me posting once every other week, maybe. I've been posting daily, and if you can't wait for the next podcast episode, go ahead and click a follow, even if you're going to mute me, uh, so we can get that count up. It'd be greatly appreciated. As always, today's show notes to bring you on this journey to Okinawa and the Google Map locations and things that we've researched for you are always going to be included in today's show notes. Before we get going too far into Okinawa, I want to give a shout out again for Maple Lopo's Verb Pro Masterclass. Stop grumbling, stumbling, and fumbling your way through Japanese, and finally get to sounding confident in language for Japanese this year. For a limited time, Lost Without Japan show listeners save 70% off the full retail price and pay $60, just $60 instead of $200 through December 31st. Plus, you get Maple Lopo's private Discord community to talk to them about your verb conjugation questions that'll pop up, and just any other questions you have in Japan related studies as well. So head over to the link that's going to be in today's show notes to get that savings for you today. Just make sure to take advantage of it this year. Remember, you can take advantage of this next year, or whenever it is that you can get to the class. But in order to get the savings, it has to be done before the new year. For those of you who haven't heard our previous talks on Okinawa, I just want to kind of just briefly say something real quick, that it's really important that you have your international driver's license. And Sam, our guest today, returning guest, my son, been on the show numerous amounts of times. We've talked about that, like driving in Japan. And if you're coming from the US or Australia, it truly couldn't be easier to get your international driver's license. It's $50. It does not take much time at all. So go ahead and do that. Make the most out of your trip. And, otherwise you're going to be stuck by the airport. And, I covered some things you can do around that time too, but make the most out of your trip here. And I think if I was going to start driving anywhere, son, I think Okinawa wouldn't be so bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Today's areas we're going to focus on is on Ginwan City and Ginawan Hill Street in particular. A lot of the locations are located near military bases. This one is located near the Futenma U.S. military base in the northern part of what is known as the Futenma area. And we're going to talk about Sticky Witch Sun.
Heck
Um,
yeah.
it's the first area that we're we have. And one thing, son, about this location in general, as I give you a moment to kind of look at the pictures and things, they actually make their very own homemade ginger ale. Like, sounds amazing. And currently is being offered for 648 yen. It's just one of those things that's like seeing that as an available drink and knowing they have just a craft soda. Like,
The Star Wars font with "May sandwiches be with you." That's fantastic.
oh yeah, yeah. Like they're on point, on this. And I can say, like, the fact the sandwiches they give you isn't made till you order it is one thing, but the kind of like thing you can tell it's Japan, son, because you can actually order a full sandwich, a half sandwich, or even a one-third sized sandwich, which is probably the portion we should be eating. The third.
No, us Americans don't know that.
So it's good. But the restaurant is definitely described, like, I would describe it as being like casual, but as is a lot of places in Japan, they focus on quality ingredients. They also make a fruit lemonade. They bake their own bread for their sandwiches in shop, and it's not just baking like some pre-made thing that is sent to them, from the corporate overlords that they're coming from. But they make it. They also make their own homemade appetizers. The menu though is going to be handwritten, but it's available in both English and Japanese. And the pictures look really wonderful. They actually look very fresh, as opposed to some chains that
Not
we
just
might
Subway.
they might say they're fresh.
Oh, sorry, I
Oh,
wasn't supposed to name it.
that's right, son. They could have been a sponsor. Lost that sponsor
Yeah,
now.
I don't think you want to be the next Jared from Subway. It has kind of a bad connotation.
It's true. It's true. The price for their sandwiches, however, does reflect the fact that they are handmade, fresh ingredients, and that a lot of these places are what would be considered like a tourist spot within Japan. And I'm not going to repeat that copious amounts of times throughout this talk today. Prices are more. This is where you're at. You're going to expect to pay
Yeah.
more for being there. With the different sandwiches, a full size sandwich of grilled salmon was around 2,500 yen, so not inexpensive.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's
1250 for a half and 1150 for a third. Uh, I could see though myself bringing like a cooler with freezer packs if I wanted a third.
never know when you're gonna need a sticky sandwich.
That's right. That's right. It's like, but for the 100 yen price increase, I'd really just go for the half
Yeah.
and use that cooler that I was talking about and just have the other third of the sandwich later. But the spicy jerk chicken, spicy pulled pork sandwiches are both 2,000 for a full sandwich, so a little better. They also offer a vegetable and egg salad sandwich for 1,800. Yeah, like I said, homemade pickles, fries, and even though I've mentioned some here, they're subject to change a lot, with what they have, considering like what ingredients that they have available for you. And their website shop is located in the Google Maps location for today's show that I'd saved. What are you thinking after looking at all those pics?
I'm hungry now.
It's like, doesn't it
Golly.
look good?
The half doesn't look like a horrible size. I wouldn't because I was wondering what the full sandwich looked like in Japan because sometimes full sandwich I'm like this is like not even a but no that's substantial. I
I
don't
would
think I
agree.
could eat like I don't think I could finish that.
Yeah,
So I think you get your money's worth.
yeah. I said I'd agree. So, like, looking at the serving sizes, like, it's definitely on there. So, get your half. Maybe
Yeah.
watch someone else order before you order.
Yeah.
And bring that cooler.
That's a great rule of thumb is waiting until someone else orders and just being like, all right, what did they get? Maybe don't order the how many grams of rice or whatever.
Yeah, if we don't talk of that side. But yeah. Up next is Grace King. And for those of you living within Japan or missing US goods, this is the shop for you. The owner of the shop is from Okinawa. Their name is Grace, and they routinely travel, like not to Japan because they're in Japan. They travel back to the US on a regular basis to stock up on items for their store. And according to the magazine Popeye, the location even smells like America. I don't know what that smell is, but it does, I guess. So I'll leave that up to you to decide if that's good or not, But items in the shop do not have like a certain focus. And instead, it's what you'd expect to see like at a resale or a vintage shop, maybe like a yard sale. I don't know. But they really don't have a huge markup considering that fact. At time of the article, that when they wrote the article, the shop had current items such as like DVDs from the animated GI Joe series for like 100 yen each, novelty shirts for 2,500, Hallmark mugs for 300 yen, and even car air fresheners for 500 yen each.
Oh my god.
you know, but each room of the shop is a different color, filled with assorted items ranging from furniture and clothing to books, kitchen items, and more. If you can't travel to Okinawa, like if you can't travel like to Okinawa for a bit, have fun checking out the store's Instagram. They actually kind of post semi frequently on there, so you can actually see what's there. At the time of doing research, there was definitely a focus on Halloween coming up and what they'd
And they got
found.
a fan.
And it's like
But sorry.
it's all good. It's all good. I'm definitely sure that if they had a Japanese equivalent of the store near me in Chicago, that was like someone traveling to Japan
Grabbing
constantly
whatever from Japan.
and bringing it back, like I'd be checking it out.
My god.
So, but after that, also in the same area is the Narrative Outdoor Supply store. And this location is definitely calling my name. For me, if I was going to be in Japan, traveling around, hiking, doing different things, I'd check it out. For me, for those of you US stateside, it's the outdoor equivalent for a store like REI on a smaller scale. But they have their own line of apparel. They have their own line of camping things, outdoor activities, supplies and things for that. You can check out all that they offer through their store's site, which you can access through their Google Maps page. And I'd love to pick up, they have a water bottle for the store, not inexpensive, 3,300 yen. But I think it's just a cool thing of like, if I was going to grab something to bring back,
Where else are you gonna get it?
you're like, where else are you going to get it? And it's something I could use every day. And, just have something from Japan, which is like we talked about that recently of having clothes or various things that they have, that you buy to bring back and wear on days that you really need to pick me up. And that could do it. They do have some shirts that you'd be able to fit in, son,
Let's go.
for 6,600 to 7,700 yen. If I lose some weight, this being kind before my next visit, when I do, yeah, I could get into maybe their Japanese size XXL shirts. So, but they're cool. I love the look of it. And the physical store, like I said, small though. I would not expect like if you're looking at the website to just go there and be like, oh man, they're gonna have everything from the site. No. It's if you're going to be in Okinawa for a little bit, for like a couple weeks, and this is a bulk of your trip, or even maybe a week, maybe you could actually like reach out to the store, and if you saw something you wanted, and have it be delivered to the store, and pick it up, and end up taking home for you. They do ship within Japan, but they do not outside of it. But like I said, kind of a cool REI. I'm a sucker for anything that has to do with camping and hiking, and to get it in Japan would be amazing. Next up is the vintage store Chill Out, which specializes in clothes from the 90s,
My
son.
jam.
That's it. And unlike other stores, this store's signage is easily findable and identifiable and large enough not to get lost among the other signs that you're seeing and exploring. One thing I'd say, like Google Maps, I don't know how much is going to be like, spot on. And you're almost going to have to be looking for a sign among signs for a lot of locations we're going to. This is not the
Can't
case.
miss that.
Can't miss this one.
Nope.
And for the cool thing is though, is that it's a store that specializes in larger sized clothes. So possibly I might fit in some of them, which is cool. And then like, for those of you in Japan that like the oversized clothes, this is cool. The style of the shop is for Japanese clientele, oversized clothing and things. You can check out their Instagram page. Their Google Maps page only has 4 pictures on it.
But they got the Eric B. and Rakim record, so they won me over. Go.
You're like, I gotta go now. I gotta go. But just as with other vintage shops you'll find across Okinawa and Japan, expect those big prices to come with those big clothes. Next up is a restaurant that offers a menu available in both Japanese and English and appears to have an overwhelming number of positive reviews for its food and atmosphere. However, customer service seems to be a main point of criticism when reviews are negative. If you're driving, it says that you'll end up needing to park in a coin lot nearby. It's only 500 yen an hour to do so. One thing I do want to mention, though, is that this location is on a second floor of a building and only accessible by stairs that have Vietnam painted on them. The owner is Mary Aragasaki, trained in Vietnam under a Vietnamese chef for about a year and a half in Ho Chi Minh City before opening up her restaurant, and with her husband in 2020. If the profile painted on the wall looks familiar and you can't seem to put your finger on it, it's because that it's inspired by her, the chef, and painted by a friend, and just a picture of her stirring the soup stock that's used. The location does not offer any reservations, but they do have a very active Facebook page for their restaurants. So that if you're going with a larger group, I'd reach out ahead of time to see if you could accommodate you. And then, the outgoing theme of our talk is higher prices for smaller meals. And that's going to be kind of a place for these, unless I mention otherwise. And like I said, son, I have the Google Maps for Okinawa Part 2, and I have the 20 different locations that are in here that you can kind of scroll through. And I do have this set up as you know, place. But like, if you are wondering if you want to look anything as we're kind of going through, it's kind of cool to do through. Sam's doing that right now as we're talking. But this location is Vietnam Marley. And that would be, like I said, it's just kind of a cool, different place that you could go through. But yeah, before we move on to our next city, though, of Koza, we have one more stop, which is Cafe and Bar Prime, located on a hill and on the 4th floor of this location, affording you the potential of an like simply amazing view before returning to your lodging for the night. If you're lucky, you may end up being able to enjoy their monthly DJ event. If not, many reviews mention that you'll experience a great environment to spend part of your night. Menus look to be handwritten, with some in English and Japanese. This location does have an Instagram page, but it is definitely not active, as the last post was 33 weeks ago when I was researching this. There are not many reviews for this location, and I could not find a website, so I'm limited in what I can tell you about spots being
Oh,
available. But different sized adult beverages, son, are
looks
available.
incredible. Oh
Doesn't
my
it look
god.
incredible?
Mhm.
I mean, like just the drinks and everything that is here.
That view. Oh my
The
lord.
view is really like what you're going through, and like a lot of the menus that are on there from like 2023. So again, you're just gonna have to go and not know what
F
you're
around
doing
and find
except
out.
for going for drinks and an amazing view. um, some of that amazement of view might be impacted a little bit as there's some construction going on in regards to a hospital. So you know it's like, if you do end up fitting it in and the view isn't as amazing as you thought, I'm sorry. But if it is, my Patreon's readily available. Now, on the first 2 pages for the area of Okinawa City known as Koza, I already could tell, son, that like this area in particular is like totally made for me. It had an audio museum that they have a shop that sells homemade German style sausages that you can buy and end up grilling on your own later. And it's all in this location of an area known as the Koza Gate Street. So, like, all these places we're going to talk about are very like within walking distance of
Dope.
each other. We're going to start with Amber Holic first, though. This area of Koza has been known in the past as like mainly just a place that you go to for like nightlife. But in 2021, like there are some locations and shops that are changing this, thought of this is the only thing it is. But this coffee shop opened up then and gave locals and visitors alike a place to get a great cup of coffee. Owner Yuta Nomura is so particular about his coffee that the shop has its own roasting room in the back to make its own beans. It was the coffee shops like this one in Tokyo that made me fall in love with Japan and its coffee, and even had me enjoying my time in Osaka, and that's saying something, my friends. And we'd easily have me wanting to go back to enjoy this if I was nearby, like again and again until my vacation was over. The location's open every day from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., except for Tuesdays and Thursdays when they're closed. So plan accordingly. And the one thing that's mentioned again and again is that the shot like of espresso is really good, apparently, and it even had people returning back to have it again. They do offer a menu that's both Japanese and English, much to my delight, and they do, son, sell whole coffee beans
One bean?
like one whole bean that you can take back with you. But they sell those beans. And one of the things I loved about going back to Japan, like coming home from Japan when I bought my coffee, is that I could grind it at home, brew it, and I was having the coffee that I had in Japan. So it was just like, I mean, I tried to make that last as long as I could when I was back home. But for 100 grams or 3.5 ounces to 200 grams for 7 ounces. And if you're kind of like lost at this moment between the grams and the ounces, a typical sized bag of coffee in the US is around 12. Okay. So like half a bag of, a regular thing here. Prices range for the 200-gram bags for around 1,700 yen and go up to 3,000, depending on what beans you choose. You can get more accurate pricing and see what they have available potentially by checking out their website prior to your visit. This site does not list individual drink prices, however, and the most recent pricing menu I could find was 2024. But that being said, if you're a fan of espresso, a shot might just be what the doctor ordered, with both hot and iced drinks available for your purchase. Um, Son, this next one, this is it, son. This is some heritage for you here. Uh, it's a ham and sausage shop called Teso, which was opened by the Naha-born Daichi Mine, who was looking to fill what they saw at the time was a void, that was only being filled by spam. Now, this shop is located on the second floor of the building, with the first being filled by a music bar that's run by their uncle. I would enjoy grabbing some items to grill these German style sausages and things like that on my trip. And if you're not like, I can't take things to grill and stuff like that, they do sell a coney style, single coney style, like hot dog or a ham sandwich for around 900 yen each. A drink such as iced coffee, lemonade, soda, black tea for around 600 yen. But like, really, what I'd be looking to, son, is like grilling, right? And you can check out their website, and they have a different flavors. The homemade sausages are made in a German style, but the flavors are not what you'd expect. So like they have like citrus flavor, they have a Cambodian flavor, they have flavorings, flavorings. They also have hot dogs that you can get. They can also get your typical Weizenwurst sausage as well. And packs range from 3 to 4 for 900 to 1,000 yen each, which is really not bad. They also sell gift boxes, which might be great if you're going to have like a party on the beach. Uh, you know, the shop's currently open from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m., except for Mondays. And I really do feel that like that could be a fun, just like grilling
Yeah.
thing with your friends and stuff like that. And
Giving my friends wieners on their
that's
birthday.
that's right. That's right. On the beach. It's like, but yeah, I was just excited. Now, the audio museum, which was on page 31 of the magazine, which I was totally excited to go because it still had like it was home to 3,000 Okinawan songs. They're trying to keep like the history going of it. It's closed, so I can only hope that it reopens at some point in time. Because it'd be cool to just go and listen to some past like Okinawan songs and things like that, and spend some time like in an audio museum in Japan. Being that I do a podcast, right up my alley. But if you're checking out the magazine on your own, not open right now, my friends. One of my favorite things to experience in Japan, and Sam, I think Yours too is curry. And even if it's curry from another country, and the location of Palmyra gives both of us this opportunity to enjoy what the owner Yuji Tekai's take on this is. And he learned from his experiences in vegan restaurants. Justin, if you're listening, this, could be something for you to save for your trip to Okinawa. They do have an Instagram linked in their Google Maps. They do have, post, but again, last post was January 2025. But the cool thing is they offer vegan and non-vegan options at this location, which is hard to find at different times in Japan. But I would not go into this expecting cocoa curry, or other.
Nothing can compare.
Nothing can
No,
compare to
just
that. But not at like chain locations. I'd go into this expecting, something that wouldn't necessarily be like a Japanese style, maybe something in between, like, like an Indian and Japanese. It's going to be their own take on it. Check out the Google pictures and things for recent menus for the location. Check it out ahead. There's some very minimal English on the menu, but man, I'd have that translation app ahead of time already taken care of so you could kind of point to what you wanted when you ordered. If you're driving, there's both manned and unmanned lots. In the restaurant, it's said to be able to validate your parking if you do the manned lot, but you'd need some Japanese level to do this. Otherwise, just pay it, and it is what it is. But I'd expect to spend around 1,000 to 2,000 yen per person to enjoy some very photogenic meals without any artificial flavors, some local vegetables, and have something cool and unique for your trip. The next is Tiger Patch Embroidery. It's a patch shop which has been doing patches for the US military, the Japan Defense Force, and that's really their focus. I don't know that you really need to go out of your way to go to this location unless you're a military fan or someone that is in the military that might want to grab some things they have. But man, if I lived in the area, son, I would totally go out of my way to have like a Lost Without Japan show patch that I could, sew on to my luggage, my backpack and things like that. We've been talking patches recently. Sam has a couple cool patches at his store for some 70s video games.
oh yeah, the Atari ones. Oh my gosh.
So cool. So
Only 100 something dollars.
only, but practically free at that point. But man, I'd love to have something like that. And when you think about it, like I don't know why I haven't thought about patches before, especially for those of you that have travel backpacks and stuff like that. When you could get patches like any country that you go to. And the cool thing about it is it doesn't have to take up any of your luggage at all if it's sewn on before you leave. Think how cool that'd be just to have it. You'd be able to identify your bag even easier. Just cool. Look it up. Next up is another first for the show with recommendation of Skate Club Orion. So if you have brought your own skateboard from home and are looking for an affordable place to skate legally in Japan, this could be an amazing part of your next trip and certainly a great way to potentially make some friends. If you can go at it with some Japanese and things like that, even if it's just very basic. The gentleman that runs this location was part of Japan's Olympic either coaching or something to do with teams in the past. So, just kind of cool. This is the first time I've found a location that has an indoor skate park. So, hey, check it
Dope.
out. If you've ever wondered what Okinawan cafes looked like years ago, son, and what would it would look like if there had been absolutely zero renovations since they opened, Freedom Diner will be a hit with you. This location ranges from being open 24 hours a day to 10 a.m. and till midnight or 5 a.m. depending on the day. So just look about it ahead of time. But you're going to be hard pressed to find locations open this late or this long. But one thing I do want to point out that unlike you know really any of the places you come across too much at this point in time, with that nostalgia comes a smoking area being allowed at this location, which might be a deal breaker for some of you depending on your views of this. But regardless of this, you could end up being one of the most unique experiences you've had in Okinawa, or we discussed this point. And unlike other locations we talked about, you're going to end up with way more food than what you thought you would. And purchases are made through a ticket vending machine, just like you'd go to like a ramen shop. And most likely that ticketing machine has been there since the place is opened. So there's no English given. So be prepared to use that translation app on your phone or son, just push a button and play Okinawan roulette if you're feeling
Oh
adventure.
yeah.
So, reviews mention the owner doesn't know English, so be prepared to use a translation app while you're there. And this could very easily be one of the least expensive meals you'll have on your trip, outside of sticking to those convenience stores. If you're solo traveling or just want a part of your night to not worry about your Japanese while you're there, you can enjoy some local craft beer from abroad, um, hopped up. Prices are definitely not inexpensive though, and they may give you pause. But getting to enjoy some craft beer in Okinawa while talking to an owner in English, it'd be kind of worth it to me at that point in time. They do have, like I said, local craft beer and beer from abroad. They do have a very active website and Instagram, but craft beer sun price ranges for like the can of beer or bottle ranges from like 1,000 yen to 2,800 yen for a glass or a can. So not great, not horrible. If that's like my one chance of having some craft Okinawan beer, like and it's 2,800.
Oh well.
Oh well. They also sell craft sake for around 3,000 yen per bottle, which could be like great to go with that grilling of foods. Um,
All those wieners.
all those wieners, and then the mezcal. They have mezcal too. Um, they do offer small snacks to purchase with your drinks, but I'd make sure that I was full before I went because when those run out, I wouldn't expect much, and when they run out, they're just done. They look to be closed Monday and Thursday, with the rest of the days being open from 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. So check them out. Next up is the Yanbaru National Park in Kunigami. This national park is one of the most popular in Japan. I mean, not just Okinawa, in Japan, and is a great place to enjoy getting away with some nature and some hiking. I would truly recommend looking into getting some guided tours to help you explore this. If your Japanese is up to snuff, you'll have way more choices than just trying to find someone who speaks English. But really do please, please, please look into getting a guide and not just go out on your own. They do also directly through the national park offer guided tours, but that is only in Japanese. Um, and really, please, please be prepared to go hiking. Have the correct shoes, the correct clothes, the correct sunblock, things, a lot of water, copious amounts of water, food, first aid kit, charge cell phone, backup batteries, because you may not have cell phone reception, my friend. So, having that ability to maybe emergency, Apple iPhone, satellite call might come in handy. Stick to trails, stick to where you're at, but you'd have a blast, I think, and just make sure you have sunblock regardless of what time of year it is. Before we bring our trip to an inn, son. We're going to talk about some lodging recommendations. One of them, if you've on the Instagram, you've heard about recently, which was MB Gallery Shaitan by the Terrace Hotels, located in the American Village. And son, do you see that view? That is the top of the hotel, like
Oh my
the
gosh.
lodging and things like that. For the layout of it, like the inside of it reminds me a lot of like the Embassy Suites, with it kind of like the squares and multiple levels, but it's completely open. It's filled with art from artists that are local to Okinawa. And that outdoor pool, what do could you see yourself? What are you
Oh
thinking,
yeah.
son?
I could live with that. It's an all right view, I guess.
If I wanted to stay inside for us to stay like at a hotel, like I'm just gonna stay and enjoy the pool for the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd survive, I suppose.
So you could enjoy an adult beverage in their kambana and watch the sunset. Like, what a way to end your day. And if you had romantic interests and things like that, quite the getaway.
Never.
And honestly, I'd recommend the room upgrade if you were going that romantic getaway. Have the extra space, have the even amazing views from your room. There's a website to look through all the different things. On the seventh floor, there's a moon club for some more drinks. Price range, typical rooms are $250 to $600. Not, that's US per night, so not inexpensive, with the top suite being at rates above $1,000 a night. So, you know, what are you thinking of those rooms, son? As far as
It's
like you were
pretty
seeing,
cool.
as is,
Very, very cool.
I think it'd be pretty cool. But for those of you looking for some amazing views and barbecue, a barbecue to grill
Woo!
on, and my friends, and we have a skate theme going on right now, a skate and BMX park. You want to go to Marnix Harbor, and it's a pension that you can actually stay at. What are you thinking of this, son? Like,
This is my vibe, you know?
I thought of you.
Mhm.
Like when I was looking through this, I'm like, man, if you and your buddies were going to a spot, this is a
Oh,
place
yeah.
you'd be around people that were just like, ready. So for those of you that don't know what a Japanese pension is, I compare it to like a bed and breakfast in the West. And a lot of times you're going to be interacting with a lot of people. You're not going to have any privacy really, but it's very unique in that way that you get to interact. Everything's very clean and even has a small beach within a walking distance from it, and I would just say it's kind of very dormitory style with bunk beds, communal showers, free washing machines though. But the price, son, the price is around
That's
$40 US a night at the time of recording. But I just say, like, if you're going to be staying in a location like this, keep your valuables on you for your trip and TSA lock your bag when you head out. Because again, you're really not going to have like anything privacy and things here.
no fanning out your yen.
That's right. Not just counting out your copious amounts of. I'm gonna
1,000,000.
just gonna sleep on my money tonight, son.
What?
It's like, but like I said, I don't see anything in the reviews of people saying that they're robbed, or had things run off. But better to be safe than sorry. And then bring some earplugs, and bring an eye mask. You never know someone's gonna break off into karaoke. It's like
We learned that the hard way.
we did. But I look very much forward to our next day trip talk because we're going to move on to Tokyo Sun, and that's the one magazine I showed you. I think a lot of that is right up your alley. Even some for me, way more than what I thought it was going to be. That magazine came out recently. It was only like last month or something like that. So if you want to follow along when we go to do this again, feel free to look on eBay, search your local Japanese bookstore, and follow along with us. Have some fun doing that. And after that, we're going to be moving on to. I also picked up an issue on Kyoto, some other islands off of Japan. So this is going to be the theme for a while because it's giving me point to show you some things I wouldn't normally have and still keep with that. I got to tell you, I'm pretty sure I'm the only person on the entire internet that is reviewing the travel magazine Popeye in English for an English speaking audience. So pretty safe that I could say that right now. so, but yeah, in the end, Okinawa will likely require a few days for you to visit. If you're going to look to dive, you're going to have to count yourself being there for a week. So set aside the time. Okinawa is an amazing place to visit on its own, but really consider adding it on to your trip to Japan if you're going to be there for a while, because I think it's something that the really like great majority of people going to Japan don't make their way to until you're actually living there. So just think about that. Think about just doing something a little bit different. And with that, my son, thank you for joining today. I was telling him I just recorded an interview yesterday with Justin, a friend and listener of the show. We were talking about him in the Air Force, and we were talking about an air show that he helped with in Japan, just kind of some things that he's interested to. That interview was yesterday, and it's going to be coming out in 2 weeks after this one does. So, things to look forward to. But thank you, son, for joining me. I
Of
said,
course.
told Sam I was like, I was struggling to get this one out today, and was looking to try to have someone else on this. So thank you, son, for
Of course.
giving me that energy to go through today.
Anytime I can be the comedic relief.
I'll take
Don't
it.
forget your wieners,
That's
everybody.
that's right. That's right. It's like, but with that, we're gonna bring our day trip talk to an end. And thank you so much. So, if you have enjoyed today's show, like I said, please very much consider giving a follow on Instagram. That costs nothing but just a few moments of your time. I'll provide a link in the show notes for you for that. And if you're getting into the holiday point of time and you want to help put some funds towards some audio recording equipment for our next trip to Japan, or just throwing some money, say, hey, if you do specifically for, you know, my trip for my daughter and I for our time coming up, put that in the notes. I would greatly appreciate it. But I do just very much, if nothing else, enjoy you clicking on and listening to my show when it comes out, every other week. And we've been doing this for more than 4 years, and I want to keep this going until I get to Japan, and then keep it going in Japan just to see how that like changes, as time goes through. So, thank you all for everything. But it looks like we're ready to call it a night before we begin our next adventure as we continue our discussion and exploration of Japan. So, on behalf of Lost Without Japan and its entire crew, I'd like to thank you for joining us on this trip, and we're looking forward to seeing you on board again in 2 weeks for our next episode. So, to everyone out there, Oginki Day, stay well, my friends.